Started to drain the coolant and made a huge mess. Drained all the coolant, cleaned up all the mess, took off the top radiator hose, took off the intake. So the mailman just dropped off this package from Japan this morning. I think this should be my new driver's side window regulator. I actually bought 2 of them. Not sure why the box is so big though. Here are the regulators, and when I bought one of them from Japan, it came with all this stuff, the rest of the door internals, like the lock set, the handle, and some like window trim too. So keep these in storage. So anyway, the top 2 regulators are the ones I picked up in Japan. They're both in good shape. I checked the play on the shaft and it is pretty solid on both of them. Versus this one on the bottom, which is the one that came out of my car. And the shaft is definitely a little bit loose on this one. So out of the 2, I think I'm gonna pick this one on the right. It has less rust and it has this cool plating too, which is different. And then this one will just stay in storage as well. I'm about to extend the head unit's remote turn on with a new length of wire so it can reach the back where the amp is. And I think I might completely overkill it because I was digging through my stash and I happened to have this one laying around. It's a Tepzel 18 gauge aircraft quality, length of wire. This is the first time I think I've ever felt some guilt using something a little bit too nice. I think there's some sensibility coming with old age now. Next up, here is one of the hybrid audio speakers. This is the 4-inch one for the front, coaxial. So for all 4 of the ones that I bought, I'm going to extend and wire on some leads onto the speakers with a quick disconnect, and the ones I'm using are actually XT60 quick disconnects. Alright, that took forever. Soldered on like a million different things. Whenever you're working with wiring, it always has a tendency to take way longer than you think. Solder these leads to the terminals of the speakers directly as well. And then right here you have a quick disconnect with XT60. And then to run everything, I measured out the proper length of speaker wire and made the connections to the other side. Let's compare one of the 4-inch front hybrid audio speakers to one of the Kenwoods that I just took out of the car. They're both 4 inches in diameter, but you can see how much bigger the magnet is on the hybrid audio and the depth difference. These little Kenwoods are really dinky. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna clean up and then head out because it's already nighttime. I think I spent about 13 hours here today, and I think that's enough. So I'll pick things up next time. Ah, it's flattening.
Yeah, see, it's gone.
Nice.
I'm gonna start taking this part here, but I don't have a good access. So we're gonna do see? Big dents, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, were you doing this one here or this one?
Oh, you missed it. I do this one here.
Oh,
it's
shoot.
already gone, that's
Oh,
right.
damn.
Alright, so now I'm gonna do this one here.
Just got done with the paintless dent removal. So before, this car had like a row of dents from like the waist high, starting on the driver door all the way to the back quarter panel here. So the whole thing here just looked kind of like ripply and wavy. It's super annoying, especially because this car is black. Can't really see it on camera either way, but now it's much better. So thank God. That thing was driving me crazy. And the same exact thing was happening on this side, on the passenger side. It was actually worse. There's some bigger dents on this rear quarter panel on the passenger side, but it's all gone now, so it's a lot better. There's still some ripples because there's still some like pieces of the metal that's like poking out. It's not really a dent, it's like the opposite of a dent. So we couldn't really get those pushed back in because this car's repainted. Didn't want to risk, like hammering that down just yet, but either way, way smoother and it's not noticeable anymore. And yeah, before when you were just standing like even 5 feet away and you're just looking at the side of the car, this whole back half of the car just looked like it was crumpled or something. And shout out to Wayne from Auto Dent Work in San Jose. I came up here today in the morning, spent like 4 hours on this car. I'm actually lucky I found somebody like him that was willing to take on this project, because I called a couple other paintless dent guys before. They wouldn't even look at it. They wouldn't even touch the job. I mean, they said it was too much, but Wayne, he's the man, he's a star. He came up here, he did it, no complaints. My dog chilling over here, just came back from the body shop, picked up the rear bumper, they just finished it. Everything's all blocked and sanded and whatnot, it's all restored basically. It looks like a brand new bumper. Super happy with the finish. They got the matte clear coat and the sheen on it just right, I think. This bumper had a bunch of scrapes all over the side, so they smoothed all that out and filled it up. Came out nice, so I'm gonna throw this thing on. New dash arrived, check it out. This thing looks beautiful. Original black Corolla A86 dash. 0 cracks on the top. Thing's immaculate. I'm amazed I even found this thing. She's a beauty. So, I'm gonna throw this bad boy in. Almost done swapping over the minor accessories. Oh shit. Almost done swapping over the minor accessories from the old dash to the new one. And then we can drop this thing into the car. By the way, my gimbal died on me after like what? How long has it been? 2 months? So now I am gimballess, but it's all good. I don't think I even need it, to be honest. Especially not for this, garage stuff. The gimbal was nice when it worked, obviously, but to be honest, the thing was really clumsy. And it definitely slowed down the process. Like having to just set that thing up and then try to film while I'm working on stuff in the garage. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass. So probably gonna stay without it for a little bit. I screwed this up. So while I was cleaning up this gauge cluster, I somehow managed to screw up the cover and the thing's all cracked now on the acrylic clear piece. So you see the crack there? Yep, that sucks. Now I have to probably go buy another spare gauge cluster to swap over a clean cover. Damn. I am about 60% done putting this dash back. Just finished installing the passenger side front speaker. The passenger side speaker went into the enclosure easy, but not the driver's side. It hit in 3 spots, so I had to mark it and then bust out the Dremel to make these slots. Driver side front speaker installed. Just took out the driver's side door window and I'm gonna swap in this one, which is all cleaned up and polished. And done. Excuse all the fingerprints. Let's take a moment to talk about and revisit the ball joints. I'll basically break down and kind of describe what has transpired in the past few weeks. As you may know, I bought a complete new set of lower control arms with new ball joints already pressed in. But when I went to go torque down and install the knuckle onto it, it was worse than before. So I kind of went back and forth with Techno-Toy Tuning to try to figure out what the hell was going on. Through some process of elimination, they thought something might have been wrong with my old knuckles. So they were kind enough to actually send me a brand new pair of power steering knuckles, the same ones that I had before. These are old ones. And this right here is a new one that they sent me. So when I went to go install this new knuckle onto the new lower control arm with the new ball joint, same thing. It still sits extremely low. You can see how it's seated super low onto the ball joint. It's all compressed. And to show you just how low exactly this thing seats down onto the taper, I forgot to mention that there are 4 washers stacked underneath the castle nut, and the cotter pinhole is still way up there. So needless to say, something is definitely wrong with the way the taper is seating with that knuckle. Because once the taper seats, it's supposed to just basically stop and not go much further. So since that still didn't work, I basically asked Techno-Toy Tuning to send me a complete package, already pre-assembled, already pre-checked, pre-torqued, everything completely done and ready to go. And they did it, so here it is. This is my new lower control arm with a new knuckle, and everything's all pressed in. Seats very well now. They said they torqued it down to 60 foot-pounds. And I also paid for next day shipping so I can get it this weekend and finally throw this into the car. It's been dragging on for about 4 weeks now, I think. And I think this is a good example to show you just how prolonged some of these type of issues can just keep going and going. The only crappy part is the castle nut is still a little bit low. I mean, the way it seats onto the taper of the ball joint's fine, but the cotter pinhole is still a little bit above the castle nut. So this is basically the same as it was when I first swapped in or pressed in my own ball joint. So after all that effort, we still don't have, I guess, a perfect solution, but a small win is still a win. So at this point, I'm just gonna cut my losses and go with it, because this is still perfectly fine. I mean, if it seats down to the taper and it's torqued down, that's the way it should be. Most likely that's not gonna go anywhere, so screw it. Let's put this in. And at the same time, I decided to just go ahead and order a new pair of outer tie rods, because may as well just change everything out and refresh it all to brand new stuff. So these are pretty much the same. They're red anodized instead, and they have this groove here now for you to get a wrench on versus the old ones. Here's everything all assembled and greased up, ready to go. Just wanted to give a shout out to Techno Tooling Tuning for sticking with me through this whole process and having great customer support. They sent me stuff back and forth for like a whole month, so it's been good.